Tonight, the U.S. operation off the coast of Venezuela. A second oil tanker stopped in international waters.
We had a lot of oil there. They threw our companies out, and we want it back.
What it could mean in an escalating showdown between the U.S. and Venezuela. Bundle up, or you might catch a cold.
In the colder temperatures, your immune system tends to be a little bit impaired.
What researchers are learning about the link between winter weather and your vulnerability to getting sick. And shopping local this holiday season.
We found ourselves trying to do a little more local.
The market shift, giving Canadian-made a whole new meaning.
CTV National News with Heather Butts.
Good evening. We begin tonight with President Donald Trump's escalating campaign off the coast of Venezuela. U.S. forces today stopping a second massive tanker that officials say was carrying sanctioned oil. It comes just days after Trump ordered a complete blockade of such vessels going in and out of Venezuela. CTV's Jeremy Sharon is tracking the developments for us. Jeremy, what more do we know?
Heather, the Trump administration has been stepping up pressure on Venezuela. This is the second time this month the Americans have seized a ship off the country's coast. It's reported the U.S. Coast Guard, with the help of the U.S. military, carried out today's operation. But there are a few details about what unfolded today. This latest operation comes as the U.S. has increased its military presence in the Caribbean Sea in recent weeks and seized another sanctioned vessel just last week. U.S. President Donald Trump has accused Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro of leading a designated terrorist organization, which Maduro denies. Trump ordered a blockade of sanctioned vessels traveling in and out of the region. The U.S. administration has suggested Washington should have claim to Venezuelan oil.
Getting land, oil rights, whatever we had, they took it away because we had a president that maybe wasn't watching. But they're not going to do that. We want it back. They took our oil rights. We had a lot of oil there. As you know, they threw our companies out, and we want it back.
Now, there could be an impact for Canada here, too. There are warnings that Trump's interest in Venezuelan oil could negatively impact producers here who export the same type of heavy crude. Heather?
Jeremy, thank you. To more developing news tonight out of the U.S. and the disappearance of more than a dozen documents tied to Jeffrey Epstein from the Department of Justice website. At least 16 files, which were available Friday as part of the release of thousands of Epstein documents, have since been deleted from the DOJ website. They include a photo of Donald Trump with Epstein and his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell. The Department of Justice has yet to comment on why the files were removed. It took nearly 24 hours, but a tense standoff between police and a man barricaded inside an Ontario home finally came to an end early this morning. Officers were called to a neighborhood in Welland, Ontario, Friday morning to deal with a bylaw issue and were quickly targeted by gunfire. One officer was hit, receiving minor injuries. That led to a long standoff with the suspect barricaded inside the home. He was eventually arrested. A 59-year-old man is now facing a charge of attempted murder. We've all heard the old adage, bundle up or you'll catch a cold. Turns out there might be some truth to that. New research suggests the warning is rooted in real science. CTV's Kathy Lee on the findings you'll want to hear to protect yourself as cold and flu season rages on.
As winter sets in and breath turns to fog, the sniffles return and coughs linger.
Do you believe the cold air contributes to people catching a cold?
Definitely, especially in Alberta.
If you're not dressed properly, and it just makes sense.
While cold weather doesn't directly cause a cold, a new joint Canadian-Australian study shows it can make you more likely to catch one.
In the colder temperatures, your immune system tends to be a little bit impaired. So already you're sort of at a disadvantage to viruses in the cold.
The study also revealed that the frigid air allows for germs to enter the body easier through two different ways. One, the nose, because a cold nose creates an ideal environment for viruses to survive, and through the skin.
If you get broken skin because it's dried out because of the cold, viruses can enter our bodies through those through the skin as well.
The findings of the research come as Canada grapples with rising flu cases.
This year is probably going to shake out as being one of the more severe influenza seasons, especially at a population level.
Federal health data showing the percentage of positive tests nationwide at almost 28 compared to 13% last week. And cases are surging across the prairies, with that region seeing the highest test positivity in the country, straining the healthcare system.
Years where we have H3N2 that predominates, like this year, those tend to be more significant flu seasons. Absolutely not too late to get a flu shot this year if you haven't received one already.
With the increasing cases, many taking precautions.
Wear very warm clothes and everything, and I make sure to wash my hands.
With the hope of getting through the chilly winter without getting sick. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
Canada is seeing a surge in birth tourism after a decline during the pandemic. That's according to a new report released earlier this week. It looked at data on the number of baby deliveries at Canadian hospitals paid for by non-residents. That figure was 5,400 last year, marking a return to levels last seen in 2019. The report's author notes that only makes up roughly 1.5% of all births in Canada last year. There's a tough decision facing Canadians this holiday season. Shop local and handmade, which sometimes costs more, or save money buying cheaper goods from abroad. Some local markets are seeing soaring success, but others admit the momentum from the Buy Canadian movement may be slowing. CTV's Kamal Karmali explains.
Almost everything you see here, from clothes to books to food, is made by Canadians.
We're over 100 local artisans, so they own their little area that they have, whether it's a shelf or whether it's a large unit, and they come in and they stock their items.
At this market just outside Toronto, where local artisans have space to sell homemade goods, sales have been soaring.
We're up 20 to 30% month to month.
But recently, the surging cost of living brought on by rising inflation, high housing and food costs has apparently snuffed out some of that momentum.
It is, I feel, a tougher market compared to last year.
Just ask local vendor Chitali Punchattar, who grows and hand presses flowers to make art.
We noticed a trend where there was support for anything local, but it's hard times as well, as you mentioned, so it's all about, I guess, the affordability.
And that's the conundrum consumers are facing this holiday season, keeping the buy local movement brought on by the U.S. trade war alive.
We found ourselves more, trying to do a little more local,
while trying to keep costs down during an affordability crisis.
Are you buying Canadian for everything, or are you?
I'm trying to.
Ordering some things on Amazon?
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's quick.
It is one of those things that you have to decide, how much do you really want to give up your standard of living for patriotism? Like anything in life, there's a trade-off.
And some local markets seeing more foot traffic this holiday season, but customers' checkout bags are a little bit lighter.
So if the average basket was $50 last year, it's probably around $40, $45 this year.
With big mouths to feed, families like the Croswells trying to find that balance.
Especially with the young one now needing to shop smart.
In hopes of gifting Canadian businesses this sentiment for Christmas.
I definitely want to support local first.
Kamal Karamali, CTV News, Bowmanville, Ontario.
The NDP didn't exactly sell itself to Canadians during the last federal election. That's according to a new report reviewing the party's performance. CTV's Colton Prale on what went wrong and what needs to change under the next leader.
In a damning 20-page review, Canada's federal NDP is looking back at 2025 and the election that saw them lose official party status and left just 7 MPs in the House of Commons. The review, based on the feedback from party members, MPs, staffers, and volunteers, found many Canadians didn't see the party as a viable choice, which rang true for some voters.
You choose between one of the two, and if you go towards the NDP, you might be thrown away to a vote.
They weren't really independent. They were going with the Liberals.
But more concerning for the NDP is the lack of support from working Canadians, the party's traditional base.
It goes to a segment of the population that is looking for a real solution to their real daily life problems. You need to address those first and foremost in clear and simple ways.
According to the document, respondents say part of the problem is the NDP's language was exclusionary, academic, or moralizing, while the party wasn't seen as leading on work, wages, jobs, industry, and economic security, something some argue needs to be tackled with stronger policy proposals.
A more aggressive strategy on economics than I think, Mr. Carney or Mr. Poilievre are even, willing to consider.
The report also highlighted serious foundational issues for the party, especially around finances, noting the party inexplicably lacks a full-time fundraising program.
You can't just flip the switch in December and say, we're going to do a fundraising drive now. You got to work at it every day.
Party insiders say whoever wins the NDP leadership race in March needs to focus on creating a more powerful fundraising engine and better incorporating the party's grassroots. Heather.
CTV's Colton Prale in Ottawa tonight. A moving memorial in Australia 6 days after one of the worst mass shootings in that country's history. Close to 1,000 lifeguards lined up across Bondi Beach this morning, holding a vigil to honor the 15 people killed and the dozens wounded there last weekend when 2 gunmen opened fire during a Hanukkah celebration. Coming up, the rising cost of filling your fridge.
Trying to feed 3 people on a low income is really hard.
What some Canadians are doing to deal with the soaring cost of groceries. PEI has the lowest overall inflation rate of any province, but you wouldn't know it from a grocery bill. Food costs are still on the rise, and some say they've had to change what they put in their carts. CTV's Maria Saru looks at why inflation is taking a bigger hit on the island.
The biggest change isn't where many island shoppers buy their food, it's what they are or aren't bringing home.
I got non-bread, bread, bagels, 2 packs of hamburger. Me and my kid, we don't get everything we need. Lowering the amount of meat and everything, trying to feed 3 people on a low income is really hard.
Some are swapping brands.
I bought Philadelphia cream cheese because it was on sale, and some milk, which I need.
Others cutting down on some categories.
Yeah, not a lot of fresh veggies and fruits. We got discounted salad. Eggs were the regular price, I think.
But the total at the till is still trending up. New November numbers from the Consumer Price Index show overall inflation on PEI is at 1.4% year over year. That's the lowest rate in the country, compared with 2.2% nationally. But food prices are rising around 4.2%, roughly the same pace as the national average. Economic experts point to a mixed bag of global forces pushing grocery costs up, from climate issues to supply chain woes to Trump's tariffs.
Beef prices, for example, are one of the big driving forces. A lot of that had to do in North America with drought conditions out west over the last couple of years and declining size of herds.
In the meantime, lower energy prices are helping cool down inflation on PEI. But back at the grocery store, families are still making compromises. Shoppers here say they're still hunting for discounts to make their budgets work as food costs keep climbing. Maria Saru, CTV News, Charlottetown.
Many Canadians looking to reduce their energy bill have taken advantage of government rebates. Now, one of those programs is coming to an end in a province that relied on it. CTV's Paul Hollingsworth tells us what that could mean for thousands.
Heat pump company owner Brody Sampson says he's been told by federal government officials there are major changes to the $15,000 grants through the Oil to Heat Pump Affordability Program.
It's not going to continue.
People living in Nova Scotia will no longer be eligible to receive federal funding to switch from oil to a heat pump. The Oil to Heat Pump Affordability Program will remain in place in the other 3 Atlantic provinces, BC, Ontario, Manitoba, and the Yukon. In this part of the country, more than 9,000 homes previously received heat pump rebates.
Nova Scotia
ranks as the second highest province in terms of energy poverty.
In a statement, Natural Resources Canada confirmed with CTV News, due to high demand and successful dissemination of funding in Nova Scotia, program funding will be fully committed in the province in 2026. While the heat pump program from the federal government is winding down, provincial funding will remain in place here in Nova Scotia. Low-income households still get free energy upgrades, including heat pumps. All Nova Scotians are still eligible to apply for up to $5,000 in heat pump rebates, and middle-income households can still receive up to $15,000 through the provincial moderate income rebates program. According to Sampson, the oil to heat pump affordability program will end in Nova Scotia within the next 8 weeks. Customers who haven't yet applied for rebates but plan to in the future will be added to a standby list if additional federal funding becomes available. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Halifax.
Still ahead tonight, putting a major illness under the microscope, how measles changed Canada in 2025. Canada lost its measles elimination status earlier this year after nearly 3 decades due to its failure to curb a year-long outbreak. CTV's Adrian Gabriel looks back at one of the top stories of 2025 and the trend that has health professionals very alarmed.
Infecting everyone from newborns to seniors, 2025 has marked a measles resurgence in Canada.
Well, it was by far the worst year of measles in Canada since elimination in 1998.
Public health officials say Canada's measles outbreak began on October 27, 2024, when an international traveler attended a wedding in New Brunswick. Guests at that wedding then went home to southwestern Ontario, beginning the country's first locally transmitted outbreak, which spread at an alarming rate among that region's close-knit Mennonite community, where vaccine rates are below the national average.
That's where the epicenter of this outbreak occurred. And there are communities throughout the country that also are unvaccinated.
That led to a dire domino of provincial health agencies declaring outbreaks this year from coast to coast. More than 5,300 measles cases have been reported so far in the country in 2025. The virus's tentacles stretching from Nova Scotia to British Columbia, with the largest clusters found in Alberta and Ontario.
I just kept on thinking it was the worst flu bug I had ever had in my life.
In May, 55-year-old Michelle Knorr sat down with CTV News just days after being released from hospital, where the measles virus nearly ended her life. What began as flu-like symptoms developed into a rash all over her body.
It felt like I was on fire.
Taken by ambulance from her home in Kindersley, Saskatchewan to a hospital in Saskatoon, 2 hours away, she was isolated and treated for sepsis, high blood pressure, and hepatitis, all a result of contracting measles that left her body ravaged.
You can see the remnants of where it was.
The highly contagious disease has also left a tragic mark on multiple Canadian families. In October, a premature baby died from complications due to measles in Alberta. Another infant born prematurely with the virus in southwestern Ontario passed away in June.
Pregnant women shouldn't be getting this infection because they should be immune through vaccination. And little kids and newborns should not be getting this infection because there should be high enough rates of vaccination in a community.
In November, Canada lost its measles elimination status after nearly 3 decades due to the large multi-jurisdictional outbreak of measles.
She has a blister on the top of her mouth that hasn't gone away, and her whole back is covered in hives.
CTV News spoke to Michelle Sire in the fall. Her daughter was diagnosed with measles in October after delaying her initial vaccination.
Make sure you do your vaccinations. That's my biggest concern, because if I was a little late with hers, and I think that if I would have got it on time, then maybe she wouldn't have got it.
Measles infects the respiratory tract and then spreads throughout the body. A rash and high fever are the most common symptoms. In rare cases, it can lead to death. Pregnant women, people with weakened immune systems, and children under 5 are at the highest risk for measles infections. In September, a newly appointed federal advisory panel stateside, installed by U.S. Secretary of Health Robert F. Kennedy Jr., passed a vote recommending that children under 4 no longer receive an all-in-one vaccine for measles, mumps, rubella, and chickenpox. North of the border, some doctors are worried that decision could lead to more vaccine hesitancy.
Shaming and blaming is not a public health strategy. And there's a lot of listening and answering questions and taking concerns seriously while lowering barriers. And if strategies like that are taken, I think we can make some significant gains in our vaccine rates in these under-vaccinated pockets and communities, and we can prevent these outbreaks from happening.
Often referred to as the canary in the coal mine, the spike in measles cases is seen as the first sign of a significant regression in hard-fought public health gains that were made over the last several decades. Some doctors are concerned for what this could mean for the year and years ahead. Adrian Gabriel, CTV News, Toronto.
Still ahead, how volunteers are connecting with veterans to brighten the holiday season. Prince William got into the holiday spirit with a visit to a charitable organization that works with homeless people in central London. The heir to the British throne, along with his son, Prince George, helped prepare lunch for about 150 people. The visit was particularly poignant for William because his late mother, Princess Diana, had taken him to the same charity when he was 11 years old. Meanwhile, half a world away, William's brother, Prince Harry, and Meghan Markle released a rare family photo. It was posted on Meghan's Instagram with the message, "Happy holidays from our family to yours." Canadians are very much in the spirit of giving. In Calgary, volunteers took the time to give back to veterans in a very impactful way. CTV's Tyler Barrow shows us how.
An army of volunteers braved Saturday morning's frigid conditions for the Veterans Association Food Bank's annual Christmas hamper deliveries.
For us to be able to give them a little bit of hope or a little bit of a Christmas just, melts my heart.
The hampers are going to veterans in need in Calgary and surrounding communities. Along with the hampers, about 100 gifts will be delivered to kids, along with more than 50 gifts for pets.
We're seeing a higher demand, and we're seeing that every year, and it's really important that we set our veterans up and their families up in need.
The outreach to veterans is a reminder for some volunteers of their own past. Ray Cameron served for nearly 40 years in all three elements of the Canadian Armed Forces. He was medically discharged in May of 2023.
I lost the love of my life, I really did. So you have to start a whole new life over.
While dealing with a loss of purpose, he found his way to the Veterans Association Food Bank to help fulfill his needs.
Even though I'm no longer in the military, this place provides a sense of belonging that only the military can provide.
A feeling volunteers here are hoping to spread this holiday season.
The veteran community that's receiving it and the veterans like myself that are supporting in the delivery and the organization is just really, really important.
Tyler Barrow, CTV News, Calgary.
The spirit of giving happening right across our country this time of year. That is our newscast for this Saturday night. I'm Heather Butts for all of us at CTV National News. Thank you for watching. Good night, and I'll see you again tomorrow.
CTV National News, Canada's #1 newscast. Canada's #1 newscast for excellence in journalism.
We begin tonight with breaking news.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina, winner of the Canadian Screen Award for Best National Newscast. Watch weeknights at 11.